What's up? Alright, so managed to fix something here. And before, uh, what was happening with my sphere and texture, it was giving me all these little particles and it was very annoying and I was wondering what the hell's going on, how do I fix this? So I went back to some basic texturing and double checked everything that I was doing, made sure it was correct, tested it with tested the mip mapping with just basic colors, because as you move away from the object, it should mip map and make the object small. It should essentially, you go from a big object to a smaller object, and it doesn't look. It looks like a single pixel rather than multiple pixels trying to render from a far distance. And I found the issue, and this is what it looks like now. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to give a nice, when you're at a max distance, it's not even supposed to render it. Like it should render like 1 pixel. And right there, that's 1 pixel. That's just, well, not 1 pixel, but one color, rather than trying to multiple or render multiple things in the texture. And as you move closer, it should increase, like so. And once you get down to the surface, boom, you get your detail. But as you move away from it, it should kind of fade out, and it does that now. And the one little thing that was causing that issue was in it was like the simplest thing ever. It had to do with the texture mag filter and the min filter. Those two were switched, which was really like, what the fuck? That was the only thing. Uh, so yeah, that was changed. That was done. Now it's fixed. And I tested it using just some basic things on an OpenGL website, just to make sure I had everything correct. And I did, except for that one thing. And so we don't need to test that anymore. Although it would be nice to keep it in there for later testing in case it's needed. I'll probably just leave that in there for now. I don't think it'll be necessary though, because it's mip mapping perfectly, and so I don't need to really do that. But I suppose we could keep it in there for now. It's just a lot of extra code that I don't need, and I can grab it later if needed. What I could do is I could probably save this page and then delete this code because it's not needed. And then in future, if it's needed, I'll just go back and go over that again. I don't think it will be though. I think that solved the problem. Go back into the Genesis file, delete all this stuff. Alright. I fixed that, but there is still another issue that I'm contemplating whether or not what to do with it, and it's this edge right here. I actually tried in the parametric equations making it create circles around right here, create a circle right here with points and a circle right here with points, and I was going to connect those. But the problem with that is um, they're different amounts of theta, so I have to account for that when I'm connecting the triangles, which really sucks. So overall, I think I was looking at what is it? A iso isosahedron. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Isosahedron. And using an isosahedron, you can this area would be just triangles, and it would be triangles all the way around, rather than being um, uh, it would connect in triangles rather than creating and going to one point. It would um, it would do it would be a lot different than connecting. Like the edges here wouldn't, or the beginning and the end points wouldn't look like a round textured object. It would be, the endpoints would be like a triangle going out in space in four different directions. I'm not entirely sure if that's, if that's like gonna fix the issue. Um, the other the other thing I thought about doing is taking this point and wherever it's stretching the texture, which starts about right as it goes into the end, or to the beginning and the end points, it starts to stretch it just really large, really elongated, if you could see that. Um, so what I was thinking about doing was trying to perhaps wrap the texture on four corners, or splitting this whole sphere into four pieces, and then I'd texture one uh, from this edge all the way to this edge on each quadrant. So if I split it into four, it'd be four quadrants. So 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of just like a X, Y, and Z, or sorry, just an X and Y. Well, in this case, X, Y, Z. But if you think of an X, Y graph, and you have those four quadrants, I would be texturing each quadrant rather than texturing each triangle. But I think if I do that, um, the level of detail will drop dramatically. Um, but if you want to texture one, make it look smooth, that seems like the only way to do it with this parametric sphere that I'm using currently. Don't know how else I could do that. Um, Gosh, I don't even know where to begin with isosahedron, icosahedron. It's like it's icosahedron. I'm pretty sure it's icosahedron. There's a few line of code that some people have already posted for an icosahedron. I was thinking about trying that to see how it looks, um, but the way they're creating their sphere is a lot different than how I'm creating my sphere. So I'd have to take the vertice data and then plug it in uh, and create it how with my Genesis file rather than using their data, because they just draw it directly to. Uh, they're only drawing one object. They're not drawing, multiple objects. So I guess I could go ahead and try that. Let's see. So so they're creating triangles. Oh, here. So I'm looking at this site here, drawing a icosaedron, isohedron. Oh my god, I'll never get that name right. So what they're essentially doing here is they defined the vertices. So you have 4 points, and they're drawing. Not sure why they're drawing quad or triangles. It looks like a quad. Oh, I guess if they have 4 points, they could draw triangles, so it would make a plane. So they have a 0.25, 0, 0.25. So that's one corner. Um, This would be the second corner, third corner, and fourth corner. And that's on the X, Y, but they don't go into the Z, so it looks, that's interesting. So they just go in X and Y. Is that a 2D? Why is this seems interesting. Oh, okay, they're using indices instead of vertex. Well, they're using vertex data and indices. So they define their points. And then give the indices to create triangles. So they connect 1 with 4 with 0. So 1 with 4, or sorry, 1 with 4 with 0. And then 4 with 9 to this one. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I'd have to look at it for a bit. But they're literally hard coding that stuff, and it seems like a really easy way to make a icosahedron or isosahedron. I might end up trying that using, I might actually switch to indices. I'm thinking that indices is an easier way to define your triangles if you have given points. But that would require quite a bit of changing of code. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. I could also use the Cartesian coordinate system. I did try that in the beginning, and it worked pretty well. But it was a lot more difficult when you have to actually connect the triangles, because you're increasing, you're basing your you have two like defined points, an x and a y, and then you have to account for the radius, and then grab your z coordinate and then go around in like a circle. But I'm not sure if that's what I want to do or not. It's always difficult to try and figure out how you want to go about creating a sphere. And 3D space. And then solving, I mean, you actually create a sphere and then you run into issues like this, and you're just like, okay then. How do we solve that? And usually there's there's a workarounds that you could do, but it requires a lot of like correction to do that. I mean, I could just make this a hole right here, and then I don't know, draw a square in here, and then connect the points and to these create triangles between that area, and just boom, pop a texture in there, and it's done. I mean, that's one way to take care of it, but I kind of want to fix this. Alright, well, just wanted to show the pixels fixed here at max distance. It's not pixelated anymore. When you move closer, it looks better. So I like that. Even inside, it's not so bad anymore as it was last time. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to solve this problem now. I think that it might take quite a while, but until then, I'm gonna figure that out and probably end up drawing a different type of sphere using probably not using parametric, or I might try to deal with the parametric equations and try to account for this. Um, I think the only way to account for that is not going to a point of not grabbing, having all these points head towards one point. That's probably the only way, because as it moves towards that point, it gets longer and it gets thinner as you move in, and that's no good. Um, I'm also going to try to wrap a texture. Split this in the 4 quadrants and wrap a texture on this side, the bottom, left, and right. Um, see what that does. It shouldn't be too bad. I mean, the texture still would probably look okay. Who knows? It's mainly, if you're gonna do that, you're stretching a texture over, a quadrant of a sphere, and that would be stretching and skewing the texture, and it probably wouldn't look good. I mean, that seems like a really bad idea. But I'll come up with some ideas and figure it out. But until then, um, if you are coding and messing around with depth and your object to have one color as you move further away, do not forget the mag and min filter. Um, if you're using, well, actually that's pretty much for anything, the mag and min filter. So those are really important. So don't switch those up. Anyways, till next time.